Why did I start the stand-up night at the studio? Not enough comedy in Widnes and surrounding areas, in fact none at all. There's been local events kind of in Liverpool and all the major cities and whatnot, but obviously from being from Widnes and wanting to start something, Widnes was the place to do it. So that's why we started it in Widnes. We started it at the studio because it's a great venue and it's probably the only venue that we can have as a venue rather than in pubs or clubs or touring it around. It's not purpose built for stand-up at the studio, but as a stand-up night, you've got a stage, you've got a captive audience, you've got people at bars going, talking and chatting amongst themselves and fighting and whatnot. I don't think there's been any fighting at any of the comedy nights up to now. But no, because it's a great venue and everyone that's been and performed at stand-up at the studio has said what a fantastic venue it is. So it's the best venue in Widnes. How did I first get into comedy? The age-old thing of making people laugh, bigger and tougher kids at school, you get out of it by making them laugh. And also kind of not handing homework in time, making the teachers laugh. You can get a lot of people on side by making them laugh. So that was it, just general all-round performer and idiot at school that didn't really like work but loved messing around and making everyone laugh. And I just think making people laugh, it's a nice thing to have if you can do it. I've struggled slightly at the stand-up nights, but the majority of people I know can laugh. I don't know if that's out of pity or genuine comedy value, but it's a really good thing to be able to do if you can do it, and that's how I got into it, and that's where we are with it today. Me here trying to make people laugh. The first time, I didn't really start as a stand-up for the first time I ever did anything. The first performance we did was live sketch shows. So it was all quite scripted, but then obviously over the period of time that you're doing it, the script kind of falls and becomes secondary, and then you kind of start riffing yourself and doing your own thing and making stuff up and whatnot. But that was a group of 4 of us, and we did that down in London. So that was the kind of first real way into stand-up, if you will. But before that was comedy acting as well, so there was a lot of touring theatre that I did. And with that was comedy performances. And then from that, and moving back to Widnes, because I was away from Widnes for a while, moving back to Widnes, thought, right, well, I'll do this on my own instead of 4 or 5 people that I've acted with. And we'll go for that. And just had a go really more than anything, because as I said earlier, I knew I could kind of make a certain amount of people laugh, but it was a test to see if I could make a full audience of 10 laugh. Who have I brought to the studio? The acts that I've brought in have been either referred to me by different people within the industry, so I'll speak to people who are obviously out there doing bits and bobs. I'll go to, one of the first ways that we went about getting new people was I went to the Comedy Store in Manchester on open mic night, and we surveyed probably 20 every night or every time we went there, and they were all appalling. So out of say 2 visits of 40 acts, we got one. There's an agency that we use as well where they just post their names up there and you contact them direct. And there's also people finding out about the night and saying, oh, I know someone who's great. You should put them on. But the trouble with all of it, unless you've actually seen them yourself, you don't know. Now, a few people that we've had on, they've kind of come highly recommended. We've seen them online, we've gone to YouTube and had a look, and they haven't been great actually on the night, whereas the others that you get, that you don't really know that much about, are usually fantastic. But a lot of it's word of mouth, and I think we're coming up to the 12 months mark with stand-up at the studio, and we're getting return visits from the people's favourites, if you will. So that's how we get them here. I think the service that we provide for comedians, especially we're trying Northwest comedians, but one of the guys that's been on once before is from Cambridge, and he's coming back again. And I think the service that we provide is probably just giving them an outlet. Every comedian wants to do their stuff day in, day out. So the more places, the more venues they can do it, then the better. So again, as I mentioned earlier, the venue itself helps as well, because they don't just turn up and think, oh, it's some guy doing it in an office somewhere. It's an actual venue. So our next stand-up at the studio night is on the 11th of July, and it starts at 7:30, and then the first act's on at 8:30. It's our 12-month anniversary show. It's going to be a big one, and we've got return visits by Thomas Hertzfield, who's a young guy from Runcorn, who was on our first night, and John Murphy from Cambridge, who was on our first night 12 months ago, all that time ago. He's back on as well, so he's coming up, and witness his favourite stepson, Tony Vino, who has been a crowd pleaser. The last time he was on, everyone keeps asking for him to come back, and we finally forced him to do that. We've got pictures of him doing things with his friends. But he's coming back as well, so yeah, so it's going to be brilliant, absolutely fantastic. £5 as well, which is an absolute, it may as well be for nothing, it's that cheap. It's not though, it's £5, let's just remember that. And yeah, it'll be really, really good. Future ideas for this, for the stand-up studio, I think we'll probably look at never doing it again and moving it to Vegas. I think we've peaked now, 12 months in. We had our record audience last time, this one's going to be even bigger, we're moving it. No, I think what we're going to do is keep on pushing it, push the whole idea that obviously it is a local thing, not just for local people, but Northwest comedians, and just really go for it. Hopefully the more audience we get, we can do it more, because at the minute it's kind of every 2 months or so, because obviously we don't want to saturate the market, if you will, but we would like to see, hopefully, in the next 12 months doing it more often at the studio. Who do I rate on the comedy scene? It's a tricky one because everyone always asks that, and who I rated on the comedy scene was Les Dawson. But as we all know, he's dead and hasn't performed for 20 odd years, so you won't get a ticket for his show. One of my favourites, all-time favourites, was, or is, Lee Evans. Absolutely fantastic. I don't think, even by the people that you really enjoy to watch, whatever, it doesn't really lend to what you do, because obviously Lee Evans is completely different from everyone else. But he's always been one of my favourites. And Alan Cochrane, who's, I think he's Yorkshire, he's brilliant. People like that. I mean, if you could ever get the night stand-up at the studio going even more in the years to come, you would hopefully have a gala evening where you've got some really big names. But they're two standout ones for me. But any comedy, if it makes me laugh, then I consider it good comedy. Who inspired me to be a comedian? At the time, probably kind of Morecambe and Wise. I was always more sketch comedy and kind of setups like that. So Morecambe and Wise, Two Ronnies were brilliant, obviously showing my age. I'm very old, looking 28, so I've watched a lot of this on the web. Webwise, whatever it's called. No, those kind of things. And then Les Dawson, as I said, he was absolutely fantastic. Tommy Cooper, I mean, that was stand-up what he used to do, but obviously a cabaret kind of thing. But that kind of humour really got me interested, I think, in comedy at the very beginning. What would I like to see? I mean, I do a lot of comedy writing as well, so really comedy acting, I think, would be the way that I want to go with it, although the stand-up does give you a kind of an outlet that you can test some stuff, not necessarily that you would maybe position it differently if it's going to be filmed, but yeah, hopefully one day to actually get something on the TV and something out there.